Tuesday, February 3rd, NHL Daily Fantasy Slate. Let's get into it.
You're saying they're looking like an idiot.
Well, this is that any different than normal?
This is the first time I will admit was unbelievably wrong.
So DJ, we come to you live on Monday evening, Groundhog Day. I regret to inform you that Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, didn't see a shadow. In any case, he predicted 6 more weeks of winter, so you can put the bathing suit away.
My assless chaps back in the closet to the chagrin of all. I actually didn't even think about what the beaver did. Chipmunk, groundhog, whatever it is. Cool. Congratulations to that. Where is that again? It's in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, it's like center of the state.
Yeah, really cool. A lot going on out there. Groundhog's Day again. I look into the nonsense bet of the night hitting on Saturday. Everybody heeing and hawing along with me. Bailout, William Nylander. Bailout, Igor Chinnikov deciding game script be damned. And Will Smith was probably actually sharp. So we can move past that, unless if you want a victory lap for me. I don't need to go into too much detail. I think I covered it there. Nice.
No, if you like betting at DJ_Mitchell at DJ_Mitchell94 on Twitter. And there's links to all of his shit, tails, or he posts them, or his
second place in tails for the month. I really want to look into the other guy, because I thought I guess I don't know if it's a guy or not. It's just like some whatever thing. Could be anyone. But I mean, I won the NHL by a lot for the month of January. But the person that won first won by so much that I'm like, what did they do? Like, they had to have bet something absolutely abhorrent. They won. They had 215 unit plus. Wait, hold on. Actually, that wasn't the finish line. It doesn't matter. Whatever it was just something crazy. It was just uncatchable bullshit. And I hit like a fucking 35 to 1 or 45 to 1 or whatever. And it's like, not even close.
I mean, it's just tough scenes when your co-host is sitting here trying to figure out if they are the most or the second most profitable person on a website.
I was told by somebody that Ben Raza wanted to talk to me about my betting. So I don't know what that's going to mean.
I hope he scolds you for being a fucking fish.
I know. I'm like, I'll talk to him. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to tell him. Like,
good God.
I was like, yeah, I would do that. Like, if he wants to have a conversation, I would certainly have a conversation. I don't want to.
God,
I don't know what he's probably going to be like. Hey, the sport no one cares about? Seems like people care about it on our site because people are winning money. So with all that out of the way, final couple slates of this run before the Olympics. We'll have some Olympic coverage. The Olympic action starts a week from Thursday, so a little bit of time in between. But we'll have some content out. I think it'll be really good stuff. Of course, I'm wearing the USA Olympic hat today, and I promise you, even though Matt might root for the USA, he might not, because he just doesn't believe in this team at all. So there'll be a lot of really good stuff around that. I'm not sure how many people will be doing, betting and DFS focused coverage on that. So, definitely if anyone's looking around, please try to point them in our direction. I think this is going to be like a pretty one-off scenario that isn't really around too much. So anything you want to say about that or anything else before we get into it?
Yeah, I outlined the plan last week. That hasn't changed. So last day of games is Thursday, so we'll be live for the Tuesday slate and the Thursday slate. I know Monday, Wednesday are 10-game slates. I'm not doing a show every night. I'm way too busy with work. So we're going to keep to the plan there. I think Wednesday will be early. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a show and skip Thursday. In any case, we'll do one of the next 2 days. We'll talk at some point later. But the main thing, though, is that as soon as that hits, as soon as that ends on Thursday night, I'll be able to dive into the Olympic teams with my free time. We should get lines and stuff starting, I think, Sunday. Teams apparently arrive on either Friday or Saturday. I figured there would be a couple days late, but like some guys are going early for the ceremony. Like,
Yep.
so it seems like they're just racing there. Like, whatever, good for them. And so we might get practices with lines and whatnot. That means my newsletter I'm hoping to post on Sunday night. And then Monday we'll do a podcast that we'll post on the feed. That'll also be on YouTube or whatnot. Kind of going through what we have available. I don't know what that'll be. If we'll have a DFS slate, if we'll have bets, if we'll have this, that, the other thing. I just don't know. So I'm interested to see what's offered. And then we'll play it by day from there. It depends how much traction we get, how much interest there is in what we're doing, because more people could be interested, or literally like 3 people could be interested, and I'm not really sure. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I think that's about it as far as our actual plan for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what, maybe it's just my naivete, but I really, really think that, in all honesty, of course, the Super Bowl's over. There's NBA All-Star break coming up, I think somewhere in that mix as well. And the Olympics, the hockey, I think will be really, really, really entertaining. And furthermore than anything, like, the entertaining aspect of it is, what will the DFS slate actually look like? I mean, will there be, I don't think it's going to be universal pricing where you can pick anyone you want, but like, what is a player against Italy going to look like for Denmark? Like a second liner that has really, really, really good rate stats or whatever. Like, I think there's just a lot more edge to that, because people can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you either spend the time on it or you don't. And we, and mainly Matt, are going to spend the time on it. So with all that out of the way, one other thing that I was asked about, and I've been asked a couple times, but I thought, if you didn't mind, maybe just going over like one thing, and we don't have to do it right now, but at some point during the stream, like in the NHL, people wonder about like the effect certain line mates have on other players, which is something you can find on Natural Stat Trick. And something that me and Matt, well, and again, like mainly I come up with these harebrained ideas, and I look at some of the things, and Matt's like, well, let's prove it. So I don't know if you actually prepared anything.
Fucking prove it. I mean, I was looking at one just a bit ago, so I'll just pull that up.
Oh. Yeah.
Looks like it's Natural Stat Trick down. I mean, no, it works. I don't know. The link is dead from what I was looking at before. So, in any case, I'll just originate it from start. Yeah, a lot of the times we get questions, or maybe we don't get questions, but yeah, I'll do that. A lot of the time we get like thoughts of like, hey, like, oh, we got a new line. Like, what does that mean? And, we watch a ton of hockey, so we can go, oh, this person will pass and that person will shoot. So blah, blah, blah. Like, you can guesstimate based on player archetypes, like what the actual effect of these things are. But there are ways to like actually bear that out. And so we'll just go over that real quick. By the way, it's a 7-game slate here on Tuesday. So, we're not going to be finishing in 45 minutes, but it's not like we're staring a 15 gamer down the barrel like we were last week.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, like as lineups change and whatever, however you want to look at it. Like, this is like, I think a pretty good not even heuristic. I mean, we're not like, it's a good thought process to check on this stuff to see what happens. Like, so is a line being put together that's making them more defensive oriented or off? I mean, I think like that is somewhat.
Yeah, I'll show a couple things, because I know I did this on YouTube, I think at the beginning of the season, or like in the off season preseason area. I went through all of the different things that's on my YouTube channel at Fake Moods, like everything that I look at as far as the websites and whatnot. But I'll highlight a few things that I find useful for this sort of question of like, how do you look at specific circumstances? It's not quite on-off court splits like in NBA or, NFL, you could say on-off field type stuff. But it's fairly close. You can narrow in on similar paths. So the number one thing that you're probably going to be thinking about is just how do lines play together? Let's look at the Buffalo Sabres and the best team in the world and say, okay, well, what do the Sabres look like with Tage and Dahlin on the ice together at 5-on-5? And what do they look like apart? And so all you do is you go to up here, players, the line tool. And that's where I am right now. And you just click the things you want. So you want 5-on-5 rates typically will score and venue adjust. Those are just standard practice nowadays. Tage, Dahlin, submit. And that's pretty simple. You can do more from there. But this season, they've played 338 minutes together, and they scored 2.82 goals per 60. Dahlin without Tage, they score 2.55 goals per 60. And you can look at, expected goals, scoring chances, shooting percentage, all this sort of stuff that'll show you like just the output of the team when these players are on the ice, off the ice, etc. And you can see that at 5-on-5, there's practically no difference in how the Sabres fare with Dahlin and Tage on the ice or when they're both off the ice, which seems like that might be a reason the Sabres are good now, because they've always had good players, but they haven't had a team worth a damn behind the good players. This doesn't include power play, for example. So that's just one area. Something I looked at earlier was, hey, Frank Nazar is playing with Connor Bedard. Does that help? Does that help Nazar, or does that hurt Nazar? I don't know. Like, seems like it would help, but it also could hurt because Nazar is not going to dominate the puck as much. And so what you do on Natural Stat Trick is you go to that player's page. So I'm on the Frank Nazar player page. There's you can just search for the player on the players thing. You can go to the player index and find them that way. Very, very navigable website. And the important thing you want to do is go to the teammates tab over here in the player summary, teammates, opposition, game log, scoring. So teammates of Frank Nazar, I want to look at the 5-on-5 production individually and rates. And so on ice is just like what happens with the team, and individual is what does the player do. And so in this case, I want to look at like how is Frank Nazar impacted fantasy wise with Connor Bedard. And so I'm going to hit run. I'm going to let that run. And then I'm going to load up Hockey Viz for one more thing that is sort of in this respect. This is the thing that takes the longest on the website. So you look at Nazar this season. You could look further back too, but let's just look at this season from now. In 63 minutes together, not a huge sample, Nazar takes 7.5 shots per 60 and has 1.89 points per 60. You compare that to, say, who's the guy? He's Teravainen, maybe. I mean, it's possible Nazar, Teravainen, and Bedard played together, but I doubt it. I know Bertuzzi obviously is playing right now with them. With Teravainen, though, Nazar's at 2.7 points per 60 and 6.5 shots per 60. So not a huge difference shooting wise, definitely a drop off points wise. And then it's up to you to figure out like why that is. You can look into the line tool, for example, and see, are they playing better and just getting unlucky, et cetera, et cetera. There are some players though who Nazar has a much higher shot rate with and a much lower shot rate with. Burakovsky, for example, in 75 minutes, he has a 22 Corsi per 60 and 10.4 shots per 60. Like, that's a major difference. And so you got to find things that are sustainable and whatnot, and 60 minutes maybe isn't that. But that's just the sort of thing you can look at to help you ground yourself. One final thing on Hockey Viz is the power play. I find this to be super valuable if you don't want to cheat this way, like every slate. Wookie has the Wookie sheets. Sonk DFS, Sonk. DJ, look that up on Discord or Twitter if you can, the Wookie sheets. But basically, he'll do this for you for every team on every slate, and give you like a look at what I'm about to do. So Pittsburgh's loaded. That's cool. Sid, Malkin, Rust is going to be back, Raquel, and Erik Karlsson. So let's look at Pittsburgh for tomorrow. Their main power play one unit, assuming, Rust plays and whatever else, I assume they'll go back to this. Here's their breakout of shots when all 5 of those dudes are on the power play. And then you let it cook for a minute. DJ, did you look up? There we go. He posted it in the chat.
I posted the Patreon, yeah.
Yeah, patreon.com/DFS hockey. Cool. Yeah, and he'll do this for you, by the way. So with these 5 guys, they've played 21 minutes, not a huge sample either, but 33 shots. Karlsson not shooting much. Raquel gets the most. And you can sort of tell that, okay, Brian Rust is sitting in the OV spot most of the time. Sid's more down low. Malkin's sort of lurking, and Karlsson's obviously at the point. and I expect Raquel to be more net front. With more sample size, you'll get more certainty as far as what the roles are. But that's just the sort of thing you can do, and those are really the main two stops on the path of trying to inform yourself about every single player on every single team in the league for this stupid game that we play. Anything else you want to add to that, DJ?
No, that was, I mean, yep. And if anyone has any questions about that, I mean, Matt is the expert. He already did a video on it. Is it on your YouTube technically?
Yeah, it's on my
Right.
YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, like the
I'll
first
post.
20 minutes of, I think it's my most recent video, but I did like a full, like, it was the first weekend of the season. I think it was. I think you're out of town, and I said, "Screw it, let's just go through every single game that's been played so far this year on Hockey Viz." And before that, I showed all the other things I looked at.
Easy enough. Oh yeah, I just posted the link to your YouTube as well. This is also on your YouTube streaming right now. So maybe you're already there. Maybe you're not. Who's to say? But what I can say
Cool.
is that we have a slate to cover. A slate that's not very big. So yeah, we did a little extra nonsense, but not nonsense. I think this is like really, really useful stuff that can help anybody, whether you're a hardcore, longtime DFS player or brand new. And we only have, like I mentioned, a few games. I just going to do a incredibly basic. This slate looks very, very bad for pace. There's a bunch of back-to-backs, including, Ottawa. Ottawa, Islanders and Pittsburgh are both on a back-to-back, or just Pittsburgh? No, they're both on a back-to-back. Yep. Buffalo's on a back-to-back. Toronto's on a back-to-back. I think that's all of them. Ugly games like New Jersey and Columbus that could be somewhat fun but look really bad. And then really the showstopper finish. I already mentioned Toronto on a back-to-back against Edmonton. I don't know if there's anything that I'm like ultra interested in, but I think it's like there's 3 games that make sense, and I don't think they're getting by anybody. But I wonder if Columbus, New Jersey gets more interest just out of the fact that goals are being scored in those games. But I don't even know. Honestly, it feels like that used to be a thing, that Columbus was giving up goals, but New Jersey can't score.
Yeah, so and then they got a new coach, and their coach
and then they stopped doing that. Yeah,
actually, we play defense now, and we win.
It's a bold strategy they had, and it might pay off. All right, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything like crazy to start here. I think we could just kind of get into it game by game and break it down. I don't think there's anything like, Edmonton is going to be interesting. I think Seattle's been so hot that they're probably going to garner some ownership. But I don't know. Is there anything you're seeing here that you're thinking like you're totally missing this?
I mean, hey, don't let me be the guy who's going to tell you that you shouldn't be jamming the Kasperi Kapanen revenge narrative here. So, no, let's just get into it.
Of all the revenge narratives, that's one of them. Yeah. So first game up is Ottawa on a back-to-back. They are trying to close out a 3-2 win over the Penguins right now. 3-2 empty net for the Penguins. So we'll see what happens before we finish probably win this game. The top line did all the damage. Batherson, Stützle, Giroux had both 2 of the goals, and the third line scored the other one, all at 5-on-5. Stützle seems to be pretty hot right now. Batherson's not been playing great, but like certainly jumped back into the, got a couple of assists tonight, so came back into the fold. The second line, I think, would be more interesting to most people, but it's against Carolina on a back-to-back, so I've got to assume it's not going to be the most popular game of the slate. Is there anything on the Ottawa side that does interest you in this tough matchup?
Not really. Carolina had an awful showing in Washington on Saturday, and they immediately returned and played a sludge match with the Kings, who traveled and whatnot to play them, but they just fucking dominated them. Like, there was nothing being generated on the Kings side. I don't really think Ottawa's a special team that's gonna, break the mold or anything of Jacob Slavin. So I'm a little bit just, I kind of just want to ignore this game. I don't have interest in Ottawa, and I also don't have a ton of interest in targeting Ottawa. The one thing that I'll note is with Ullmark going, I think it's Reimer, but I honestly don't know if we know who the backup goalie is, like, going forward for them. if it's like Merrillainen or Reimer or whatnot. So just something
Yeah,
that I'm thinking
that
about.
is. Yeah, I think a lot about goalies, so that's certainly a part of thinking about goalies. Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing Ottawa tomorrow. I don't have a lot of interest. Back to back against Carolina, I just feel like there's going to be another option, and I don't need
Okay.
to force the Ottawa Senators into my builds or my betting. Carolina on the other side, I think we were both kind of on the same wavelength of like, is the well going to break for Svechnikov again? It feels like he's playing well enough to warrant more production, and it is just not really showing up. Like he has one explosion game in the mix, and everything else is pretty
Wait,
subpar.
what just happened?
So
Oh, I
with
got
what?
it. Okay. My screen share switched to the internet, but I got it.
Yeah, I mean
Because I have
the real
multiple
issue here
windows.
is yeah, Carolina just doesn't have anything that feels ultra explosive other than Shane Gostisbehere, and everybody else just feels very middling. So if you're gonna use them, I feel like it's spend down or nothing, but I just don't think they're gonna be very popular. So are you at all interested in the Jarvis, Sveshnikov, Aho line, or just
I
not
mean,
doing enough to warrant it?
yeah, no, it's to me. I think Gostisbehere's reached a point where I'm totally fine trying to pick one. Okay, Svechnikov gets 2 goals, Aho gets 2 goals, Jarvis gets 2 goals. Obviously, that'll play, even if they don't get 5 shots, even if they don't get 3 points. Like that'll play for between 6 and 7K. But Gostisbehere has been awesome running the power play. We've talked about this all year long, but he's been even better as of late. Playing with Nikishin, that pairing is just fun. Like, I mean, I honestly should have used my little line tool thing to just look into that pair because it does feel like it's electric when it's on the ice together. So obviously, I love the two players and their archetypes and whatnot. But in any case, Gostisbehere feels like the guy to build around. And whether that means, Svechnikov, Aho, or Jarvis, I'm not positive. Like, Svechnikov just stopped shooting. Like, it's really concerning, but he's also been more productive than he's ever been. So it's like, yeah, it's probably in the benefit of creating better offense. And obviously, he's super talented. So that makes sense. Couple guys down the lineup, like, I'm not really. The second line is just so blah to me. I don't really care much. But Jordan Stahl and Nick Ehlers, which one's going to get the power play 1 goal? Like, if it's right off the power play, it's Stahl. If it's not, it's Ehlers. But those two guys are fairly cheap. The third line in Ottawa has Shane Pinto, so maybe not a great matchup. But again, if it's James Reimer or whatnot, revenge, right? James Reimer revenge in Carolina? He
He definitely
definitely
played
played
there.
there.
He played for like
Yeah, okay.
17 teams, and that is one of the
That
17
is
he
one of
played
them,
for.
yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that interested here. I kind of like your idea of getting skinny with it, if anything. If you're, if you are stacking though, if you're just like, I'm playing Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, you're not leaving off Gostisbehere at 5,200 on this slate, in my opinion. He's just playing way too good to leave off. Ultra involved in the offense, has really one of the higher shooting ceilings of. He might just have the highest shooting ceiling of anybody on this team. So leaving him out just feels like a non-starter for me. But I'm not that interested here. I'm a lot more interested in the next game and the next team in Columbus. Some question marks, of course, to get to in the lineup. Marchenko, I almost said Marchenko. Marchenko is day to day. Could miss Tuesday's game. He's sick. We don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. Whether he's in or out certainly changes what we're trying to do, but
Yeah, it's
it's
very, very curious to me that Marchenko is sick, and that's not abnormal. Everyone's getting sick this time of year, but I haven't seen an NHL team say, "Hey, we're not going to have this guy travel with us because we don't want anyone else to get sick." But the thing is that there's one game left for Columbus this week. Like it's not like we're talking about oh, you got a 6 game road trip. We got to keep the boys healthy. Like if Marchenko can play, it feels like he should be there. But like
yeah.
so I don't know. That's just a little bit interesting.
Well, he's like, I mean, he's not Charlie Coyle. Like you got to think about who you really need to get out there and play.
That is true. So in any case, keep an eye on him. We should know fairly early though, because it sounds like if he doesn't travel, basically if he's not playing, he's not traveling, is what it sounds like. So we should know by morning. But Marchment, Fantilli, Marchenko, 17.5K. If Marchenko misses, I saw this, but I think it was Heinen and some other idiot on the outs. One of those two slid up to the top line, but I'm not recalling, and I'm not looking at it right now. So, in any case, I don't think it matters. They're playing in New Jersey. Maybe people are just in on Adam Fantilli. I doubt it though. So,
Yeah.
I think slightly more interesting is cheap second line: Voronkov, Monahan, Johnson. Voronkov riding the ladder of the roller coaster of Rick Bonus, but playing that mini stack, and then Charlie Coyle, of course, with Olivier and Sillinger, though they seem to play more at home. So you're basically just hoping for power play stuff from Coyle.
Yeah, there could be a couple notes for me. Number one is, if you want to tell me what guy did you think had more points per game than Adam Fantilli? Like, if you would have said before the show, like, how many points does Adam Fantilli have in 54 games? I would have said like 47, and he has 35. I mean, he just really doesn't like. Yeah. Why is he not producing at a higher? It feels like a real problem. And then Shams points out it's Lundestrom on the top line if it's not Marchenko. That doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy. So I completely agree with you. I think it's the second line over anything else. The question mark on the second line is anybody going to get 11 or 12 minutes? And then I look at Kent Johnson and realize that will be happening, and that's very concerning. So maybe there's a bigger role for him with no Marchenko. Like, the top power play has a hole. Is it a Kent Johnson size hole? I don't know. You never know for sure. Maybe they go Voronkov and try to change the complexion of the power play, but they'd have to basically have two guys that are net front presence. That doesn't seem so. Like, it probably ends up being Kent Johnson. I don't know. It's a lot of question marks for a really interesting team in a game that I think is interesting, but who is the upside player? I mean, I'm not playing almost 5K Charlie Coyle. Like, I get it. He's been good, but no.
I think
nothing feels comfortable, but the second line is an option.
We haven't seen it under bonus, obviously, but I'm pretty sure Damon Severson, who plays that position on the second power play, could be the guy who slides into Marchenko's role if Marchenko doesn't play.
You're so fucking right. They're gonna move
Damon
Severson up. Oh God.
Damon
what did
Severson,
All right, never mind. You know what? Maybe in reality, I think the thing that I'm flirting around and I'm not getting to is Columbus just wants to be boring. Like, last game, they win 5-3. Monahan played 10 minutes. Johnson played 11 minutes, and Voronkov played 12. And they just, Coyle was going for the hat trick. Obviously, they were getting him some more run, etc. But that's
what they do when they're
winning.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, but like, are they going to be
2 games ago, right?
Oh, is that 2 games ago?
Yeah.
I might be looking at
that.
No, I'm saying the right. Oh, okay, 2 games ago was the hat trick.
Yeah.
2 games ago was the hat trick. The last game they never played Monahan, and then that game they also Voronkov 8 minutes 2 games ago when Coyle had the hat trick. Voronkov 8 minutes, Kent Johnson 12 minutes, and Monahan 15, a little bit more. But like, that line is essentially the fourth line when it comes to minutes. What the fuck did Voronkov do? He seems to just be the odd man out entirely.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's Columbus heading into New Jersey. If you need me to tell you I'm not interested in Columbus, I think you could have guessed that before you turned on this podcast.
Nope, I needed to hear it. All right, now
New Jersey.
Let me just say one thing. Yeah, one thing about New Jersey is if you click on New Jersey and Jack Hughes doesn't play, let's assume, every single player is 5,600 or below for the New Jersey Devils at home against Columbus. Of course, Jack Hughes is a big question mark, but when is the price right, Matt? Or is it never right?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I say to that? Like, what have any of these guys done to be 5,600?
Yeah.
I don't know. The production's fine for the price, for sure, but I'm certainly more interested in the cheapies here. So as a lineup with no Jack Hughes, which, again, we're assuming he came out for a spin today and then left, so I don't even think he's an option, but I guess we'll see. Timo, Glass, Connor Brown, Gritsuk, Heischer, Heminaho, Bratt, Cotter, Mercer, Lamico, Glendening, Siplikov. None of that brings great inspiration. But what I will say about this top line is that Timo without Jack Hughes, we know that he's going to play top power play and he's actually going to look like he's functioned on an NHL ice sheet before, unlike when he's on the top power play and he's never touching the puck. He just is a lost puppy out there. And he's playing with Cody Glass and Connor Brown. Cody Glass, who has been unbelievably productive. He's 3K. I think he's really good. And then Connor Brown at 3K also, who is on the top power play with them. That is pretty appealing for 11.4K against a Columbus team who, as we just covered, sucks and could be without Kirill Marchenko. That seems like a pretty good deal to me. Now, you could say Nico Hischier is a better hockey player than Cody Glass, which I think I have to agree with. And Nico Hischier is now centering Gritsuk and Haminaho, who themselves have been pretty good over the last stretch of games. And so that line is also 12K. And you're getting, 3 power play guys, even if Hischier's only power play 1 guy based on practice today. So that to me is at least worthy of consideration. I prefer the top line, but you're certainly not silly for going either direction here. I'm curious to see if the field lands on either of these lines because I like them, and I'm not sure that they're like they're pretty gross players in between Glass, Gritsuk, and Haminaho. So I'm wondering if it gets to outrageous steam levels with 7 games, or if it's one of those just mix it in options to play a McDavid type lineup.
Yeah. In the 6 games that Dougie Hamilton has been essentially the quarterback and the whole offensive production for the defense with no Luke Hughes, he has 8.17 shot attempts per game. And that's only on the ascension over the 6 games. Like, it feels like the shots on goal numbers, I mean, there's the 7 and the 5 in the past 2. So like I'm saying, it's on the ascension, but like that might be a tough to get back to 7 again. But the attempts are certainly there to warrant a blow up game. So I would find it really hard to not include him in on the mix. Like, him and Timo are the shot takers. Cody Glass doesn't have to do a lot for you, but he certainly could. He also blocks shots more than most forwards. I'm not saying he's, a blocks bonus waiting to happen, but comparatively to the, rest of the forwards on this slate, he's one of the more likely candidates to get a blocks bonus as a forward. I think he's like second. Yeah, he's second of all forwards in block shots over the past 5 games. And he missed a game.
Cody Glass,
just raw block.
Cody Glass, by the
blocks
way,
per game,
has 0 blocks bonuses this season.
Really?
That is true. Well,
what if you were the first to be brave enough to take him for him to get a block? Like, what if you were the one?
He's due. He
has so many. I just saw he had a lot of blocks. I didn't really realize here, right? Like, he gets 2 and he's like, I'm not blocking a third. Fuck you. But he also might not play as many minutes as he will in this game. Like, you never know when he's going to play 10 or 14, but like, what if he plays 18? There's that third block, and there is your shipper, your 2-point blocks bonus shipper. So I don't know. I like it. I like the Devils more than the Blue Jackets, and like I think that the Blue Jackets feel more intriguing, but the Devils are actually the better play.
I just watched Sam Rinzel score a goal. We are so back. I like kitties. Where are you? We're back.
Folks, could we ever leave?
We're so back. What a goal. What a goal. Washington. There we go. I found him, everyone. I bet he's 5 minutes behind, and he's going to be so happy in a few minutes.
The non-believers are in shambles. I mean, their best ball bags to 0 as Sam Rinzel finally does something in the Lord and Savior year of 2026. Anyways, we move on to Washington at the Philadelphia Flyers. Washington, I thought for a second was on a back-to-back, and that would be wrong. No, they are. They just won 4-1. They just won 4-1.
Finished.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. This guy, everyone.
Taravari, Bavillier, Dowd, Carlson are the goal scorers in a big old win where they gave up 30 shots again. I don't know, man. I mean, on a back-to-back against Philly, it doesn't feel appetizing to me, but the top line seems kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get a game featuring possibly Garen Bjorklund against Alexei Kolosov. I think you just got to do it. Philly, I think will start Vladar, but they just called up Kolosov for some reason. Maybe Erson's sick or hurt or something. But I found that curious. So anyway, that just found that funny. But Washington, we truly don't know who's playing goalie. I don't know that Thompson or Lindgren are available, and Stevenson just went. And I've never heard of Garen Bjorklund. So I hope for his sake that he is ready for, not Matvei Michkov. We'll get to that in a minute. But, for someone to rain a fury upon his head. For the Washington side, Beauvillier, Strome, Ovi, Protas, sort of Wilson, Frank, Dowd, Leonard was how they played for most of Monday's game. They did some amount of reshuffling, like some of the goals were scored. I think like Dowd and Wilson were on the ice for a 5-on-5 goal. And I think that had to do with PK time and power plays and whatnot. So I would expect Beauvillier, Strome, Ovi, Protas, sort of Wilson to sort of be their main offensive engines. And then Leonard to maybe mix in up the lineup if needed, assuming they're chasing the game. What I will note is that defensively, both Roy and Faravari are back. They both missed this weekend. And also Connor McMichael got hurt last week. So that's the name you're missing if you thought something sounded weird in what I just said. Ovi has been very good from an expected standpoint, not from an actual standpoint. 13.1 expected fantasy points last 10 games, not including Monday night because it's not updated yet. And 8.8 actual. The grade 8.8 per game. Not going to cut it though for 6.8. And Protas, sort of Wilson. I played sort of and Protas on Monday and didn't really work out, but they've both been pretty good over the last 10. Combined 22 expected DK points for just 9K. And that line of Wilson, sort of Protas, has been one of the league's best. I talked about it last week, and they're up some ungodly number on the opposition in their minutes with, insanely good rates and whatnot. It's like 23-2 or something silly. So I like Washington. I have my doubts about Philly at the moment. I'm sure many people share in them, but we'll talk about them in just a minute. Because, boy, local radio hit the fucking shit this morning or yesterday or whatever you want to say. So any thoughts on Washington?
I looked up Garen Bjorklund just for shits and giggles. He is an 879 AHL goalie coming into his potential first start. Clay Stevenson has been much, much better in the minors. And is like a real guy that's like had NHL experience and once again looked pretty good. Keep an eye on it. Like you're saying, goaltenders don't matter until they do, and boy, could they matter here. It might be more impactful on the other side. Washington's been bleeding chances, and if they're bleeding chances against a goalie that sucks, I say we just get over to that other team and talk about them for a little bit. You already covered, I think, Washington pretty well. The Philadelphia Flyers. Now, things look good, and now things look not as good. Is this team officially on dead watch? Are they officially out of the mix?
Yeah, I think
probably.
I think they've passed into.
I think they're. Yeah. Oh wow, it's 9 points now. Yikes!
Yeah,
actually, it might be.
We need to bury these guys.
I think it's dead and buried. I don't. Again, that doesn't mean like everything in the world, but like, it just means that the nonsense meter is at an all-time high. Matt, what kind of nonsense have they been up to?
Okay, well, you will never guess whose fault it is that this bad hockey team sucks. It's Matvei Michkov's fault. The future of the franchise. It's actually his fault that this team is terrible. Rick Tocchet is just every day. He's not torching him. Torch would say, he did this good thing and he needs to do this, but guess what? He needs to be better defensively, and he's gonna sit if he fucks up, makes a mistake, and we'll talk. Tocchet's just sitting there like not talking to him and benching him, and then going into the press and saying, well, he came into camp out of shape. Like, dude, it's fucking February. Like, at some point, you need to realize that this kid needs to play. You will never guess that with him on the ice, they have their best defensive underlying metrics. Like, it's just fucking silly at some point to say, like, it's his fault. Like, he's playing with bad players for 8 minutes a game, yeah, he's not going to do well. They finally move him with Zegras. I think it was 2 games ago, and they generate 3 goals as a unit. I might be misremembering whether it was 2 games ago or whatnot. They looked electric. They looked great. The power play was cooking, and they immediately scramble everything again to move him off the top power play to make sure he plays 8 minutes and just do their thing. So yeah, Tockett's definitely on fraud watch, and this team is just deader than dead. I really don't know how I can get the Philly. Maybe Owen Tippett. He's 5,200.
Yep,
He's been shooting a ton. The problem is that he's not getting power play one time in this current iteration. It's Dvorak, Konechny, Zegras, Brink, Drysdale as of last game. So yeah, it's a problem. And Tockett's a huge, huge reason why this team is sliding at the moment, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think he is like sometimes something happens and everybody seems on the same page except for me and you. And when the Flyers hired Tocchet, I didn't, I wasn't ultra vocal about it, but I was like, why is everyone acting as if this is like the fix they needed to go from like basically the same guy to the same guy? Only one of them has some level of success. I don't fucking know, but let's keep it on pace here. I mean, Owen Tippett in a game against a back-to-back team who's been bleeding chances, who is potentially putting a goal. I mean, at the best, very likely playing an AHL quality goalie, if not a below average AHL quality goalie, is incredibly interesting. I don't think he's going to be the top target by anybody. Konechny's been fantastic at 5,700. He'll be just his own.
He's incredibly hurt. I don't really understand. You watch him play, and he moves like Mark Stone now. Like, and he scored. How many goals?
5 goals,
and
he
scored a fucking hat
5 goals in the past
leg.
3. Yeah.
Like,
I agree, and he's playing 40 minutes a night, and
it's wild.
I'm just saying, like, what are the people going to play? It's probably the guy almost the exact same price that is on the power play line one, but like, I would rather play Owen Tippett. I'd play him with Barkey, and honestly, I wouldn't be afraid of playing Noah Cates. It's not someone that I'm like going to the mat for ever, but like, I've clicked the button before. The problem with Denver Barkey is he doesn't shoot, but if Owen Tippett scores a hat trick, I bet Barkey's involved, and he's very, very, very cheap. Just a really, really good playmaker.
What's the Barkey? Sorry, Barkey has 8.3 expected DK points last 10, so I want to figure out what that's from. If that's all, 5 primary assists. That's impressive. Yeah. All right.
He's a very good hockey player. If he shot more, it'd be great. I tend to kind of like Cam York as a DFS play as well. At 4,100, I think you could do worse. Like, these are options. And honestly, if you're going to just say fuck the noise and play Michkov, Zegras, Brink, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. I just think that I'm going to stay away from the top line chalk. And more than likely, I think my lineup will have Owen Tippett. Whether it has 1 or 2 other pieces is a question I'm going to think about. I don't think you need to, giga stack this team, but you could. I mean, the narrative you're building exists where they, take advantage of a back-to-back team with a goaltender that just has never played in the NHL. But also, we've seen many of these goalies step in and look just competent enough, because goalies are voodoo and they're dumb. And in one game, they can make 26 saves. And
another thing to consider is with the break coming up, Stevenson could just be going, and that's noteworthy. Backup goalies on back-to-backs do take a hit, like save percentage wise, but it's possible that it's not as big a deal as, it's not as big a deal as playing a truly unproven, goaltender. So, because I know Clay Stevenson is at least a dude. So,
he's a guy.
In any case, the Flyers, I say no thank you, but I understand. And hey, maybe tomorrow Tocchet comes in, puts on his big boy pants and says, hey, I get paid a lot of money to do a stupid job being a fucking asshole. Why not be an asshole while putting good players on the ice instead of Nikita Grabenkin? And for that, I would be grateful, but I think we all know what's coming. Let's get over to Pittsburgh at the Islanders. In this one, we are expecting Brian Rust to return from a 3-game suspension. You counted, right? Like, I'm not making that up.
3
pretty sure.
games. 3 games since Vancouver. Let's look.
Yeah. 1,
Chicago, 2,
3.
3. Yep.
Rangers.
Ottawa was 3.
Yeah. So especially now that they lost, there's absolutely no reason to think Rust doesn't come back in and onto the top line, top power play. So I have it Raquel, Crosby, Rust, Chinikov, Novak, Malkin, and Mantha, Kindle, Brazo. It's possible Rutger McGroarty fits in somewhere, but I think we're safe for now on that because this team's in a playoff spot, unbelievably and comfortably so, given the division around them. And on the back end, Kulak, Shea, Wotherspoon, Carlson. Chris Letang broke his foot last week. Will miss upwards of a month. So Eric Carlson should get all the minutes he can handle, but that hasn't meant shit lately. He's been really bad, and I am very curious to see how he looks in the Olympics because we were saying the same sort of stuff last year, and he turned it on in a big way for the Four Nations. But I don't think I'm taking the plunge here with Eric Carlson, despite the lack of other D options on Pittsburgh. Any thoughts here?
I mean, I don't mind. I really don't mind looking at Brian Rust a bit, but that top line is just so expensive. It's a back-to-back. I don't really respect the Islanders. I'm not an Islanders believer, but man, they're gonna have Sorokin in net. Is that really the button you want to click? I just don't think I do. I'm not spending up, and if I'm not spending up, like, what am I really gonna spend on? Like, I think there's just better punts. I kind of like the idea of New Jersey way more than this kind of seemingly coming up in price Kindle, Brazeau, Mantha situation. Chinikov is still a value, but no more power play one. Just okay, that's probably gone. I think I just probably sit this one out. I don't think it's going to be very popular, but I think it's for good reason. There's just nothing that's really, really sink your teeth into interesting here. I was excited about Rutger McGroarty. I was excited to see if he got a bigger role. He just didn't. I mean, he was playing 10 minutes a night, and now he's probably back to the AHL with Russ coming back. So it's what it is.
What I will say is that if we get this, so I should have mentioned with McDavid also, Tampa is going to be really owned at high prices. So assuming we get Edmonton and Tampa at very high ownership, that's not really noteworthy anywhere else on the slate. If we also get Carolina projecting extremely well or to get ownership for some reason, and Pittsburgh is not, I think Pittsburgh and Carolina could be fighting for the same ownership bucket where it's not going to be high. It's not going to be 20% like Tampa or Edmonton could be. And I think one of them will approach 30. But I think they deserve some ownership. And with the Islanders matchup, I side with Pittsburgh. Like, this top line is so expensive that it might be prohibitively priced for optimizers and whatnot, $21K. But all three of these dudes could clearly hit their ceiling. I do think that Pittsburgh's interesting if they come in at like 6-7% on a 7-game slate against the Islanders. So that's something I'll try and keep an eye on personally.
Well, I'm glad you're personally going to take that initiative.
Okay. Because also Chinikov, Novak, Malkin should be very owned. Like, they've been awesome.
Yeah.
I expect projections will continue to try to get Chinikov in good matchups.
Yep. Let's talk about that matchup on the island. Barzal, Horvat, and Palat were the line. Horvat continues to be.
Did they change?
Well, they got thwacked, so they could change. But yeah,
they could. Yep.
The problem with this Islanders team is it feels like a lot of the upside is very clearly through this top line, but the top line is very expensive. So you run into this situation where I just feel like it's also price prohibitive, just like Pittsburgh won, only it's doing absolutely nowhere near enough to warrant the price, where Pittsburgh won at least has the semblance of what could be worth the price. Like, it's nice and concentrated, but that's about it. There's really not much else here that you're interested in. They got, pumped. They gave up 3 5-on-5 goals against. Maybe Palat wasn't the answer after he scored a single goal, and everyone said, "Oh, what a genius move." maybe he wasn't the answer that people thought he
Well,
was.
They did only score 1 goal on 3.3 expected.
Yep.
Over a full goal of that expected amount came from 2 players. DJ, name those players.
I have it up on my screen. So is Casey Cizikas and Scott Mayfield.
The definition of expected by whomst, I believe, is the
Yeah.
expression. All right.
Not how I said the fly, but
this team kind of crazy. They've been playing fun hockey though. Like the Rainbow Shard, like it'll look like a shard after today's performance, I think. But it doesn't look terrible from their end. I guess actually it's mostly the fun side of things for them. So scratch that. I saw the big numbers today and was like, oh, interesting. And then Pittsburgh, oh, interesting. Islanders, maybe not so much. Okay, I'm pretty over betting against this Pittsburgh complete lack of talent. There's some teams that just seem to have it, and they certainly do seem to have it. So let's not get too far down a stupid rabbit hole filled with nonsense.
New league name just dropped. Rabbit hole full of nonsense. We have 3 games left if you're ready to get to them, and the final 3 games are all the most interesting games, in my opinion, from the DFS side of the house. You already said it as much. The 2 highest ownership teams, I think without a doubt, are Tampa and Edmonton. Buffalo on a back-to-back in Florida, so going from Miami-ish, so Sunrise down to Tampa. Tampa coming off of that, truly unbelievably fun and enjoyable hockey game outside in the Raymond James Stadium, where they came back and won in a shootout 6-5. Goalie fights, everything that you'd want and more. Some injury notes that we're going to get to next, but the Sabres we touch on first. They did make. I actually shocked you. Benson got potentially hurt in the game as well. I think that's something to keep an eye on. I don't know if he came back.
Spotter, right?
I think it was something like that. I mean, we started the podcast when this happened, so don't come at me with my not being a fan take. I was watching the entire game until we started, and I know all too well if I keep the game on in the background, I will not be focused on this podcast, which is already a struggle for my dumb ADHD brain. But yep, keep an eye on the Sabres lineup. Krebs moved up to the top line. Benson injury up 23 seconds ago. Couldn't finish the game, so we'll see where he's at for tomorrow. So not a whole lot there. Regardless, Thompson's been this whole team. Rasmus Dahlin has emerged yet again as a true, top talent. But the third line, I think, is the one that maybe gets, kind of by everybody. Tampa is really good as a top end team, but they lack depth. And now with their center core once again seemingly incredibly banged up, I wonder if this third line doesn't yet again get overlooked. Zucker, top power play. Jack Quinn, top power play. Ryan McLeod in the second unit. Jack Quinn has like 12 points in the last 13 games or something. No, 13 and 13, I think now. Something kind of interesting like that. And he just, he does look the part. Sometimes he looks lost defensively if you're a Sabres fan and you watch him, but he certainly doesn't look bad in the offensive zone. So if it's a game they're trailing, he has shot upside. He has power play upside, as we already mentioned. They did score. He got an assist on the power play on a Zucker goal. So do you share a similar sentiment as me and going with maybe this third line, or do you think that'll be pretty popular?
It certainly won't be popular. I do wonder if Tampa will treat them as the second line, though, especially if Benson doesn't play, because Oslin, Doan, and Hellenius would be that line in that case. Because I would expect it fully that Tage and Tuck, whether it's Krebs or Benson, or I think it'll be Krebs, though, given how this game finished, will eat the teeth of the Holmberg Gord Gergensons matchup, which is no bueno for any team that's headed into Tampa so far this season. I do wonder if, though, that McLeod line will be chasing around Kucherov, Gensel, Hagel, which is fun for offense, but I don't know how much I want to be betting on like production there versus against Bjorkstrand, James, Gonsalves for my kicks. So there's a minor thing there that maybe we get some insight on depending on Benson's status. Because I think if Benson plays, Doan and Benson will clearly be more focused on by John Cooper, if anything. But I don't know, just some minor thoughts, I guess, because who the hell cares? The interest here in this game is Tage, Darlene, and the Tampa show. So, do you want to get on over there?
Let's get on over there to the Tampa show, coming off of
Okay.
the what would we call it? The blockbuster event. Let's go with outdoors, 5.2 expected goals. They throw 6 with the shootout on the board. Vasilevsky, total pumpkin in net to keep that game interesting. Kucherov, 28 minutes. Gensel, 28 minutes. Hagel, 28 minutes. Sorelli, injured in the game, only played 6 because of the injury. Bjorkstrand on the power play, Paul on the power play, but that top unit and those guys, the first 3 guys I mentioned, never came off the ice. Victor had been returned. 10 minutes of ice time. I think you have him yellow because we just don't know if he's going to play in the next game. He's definitely on a pitch count. Does he actually play, or they continue this 11-7 run? These huge minutes, this top line, it's going to be chalky. Of course, you can't play this and Edmonton. You're going to have to make a decision between the two. I think it's going to be somewhat piled on. The Sabres have been kind of, in this Florida game, even they gave up quite a hefty total of expected goals with 4.3, a lot of shots, a lot of volume against. They seem to continue to weasel their way out of it. Tampa's in a great spot. I mean, what else can I say?
Yeah, and Alex Lyon has been saving their bacon for a while. And
Who called
Lyon,
it? Who could have called it?
Lyon, the big cat. I mean, what a matchup it could have been, but someone didn't have the courage.
Well, play him on a back-to-back.
I guess they might. I mean, we'll see. But in any case, all I wanted to say, yeah, you mentioned Victor Hedman played 10 minutes. I think he sits for these 2 games before the break, and they just let him go off to Sweden to go play for Sweden. They don't need him. Like, let's be honest, they just don't need him. So let him get that final Olympic experience and hope he comes back, rejuvenated and maybe healthier, though I don't know. It's tough. I mean, watching him was not a pretty sight either on Sunday night. Hagel, Gensel, Bjorkstrand, or Kucherov are a combined 24.3K. The Nick Paul power play thing was a 5-on-3 thing, so Bjorkstrand will be on the top power play, otherwise. So no, I mean, these are the 3 guys. They're 24K. You play them. Or you leave one of them off and you play Darren Radish, who is somehow cheaper than them, despite being a true separator at a defense position that, especially on this slate, has one guy he needs to beat in a big way. Otherwise, you're looking at like Werenski in a bad matchup, or Sanderson in the worst matchup, or Chikrin in a tough matchup. Like, it's really Bouchard and Radish, and the way Radish is playing, it's really hard to bet against him. So it's an incredibly interesting spot. I'm not sure where it stacks up with Edmonton, but that is the thing you need to keep in mind when you're building here. Big surprise, the 2 best teams are the 2 teams to think about, but the pricing is aggressive enough to really make you think. So anything else on Tampa?
No, I mean, we know who to play if you're going to play him. I very much agree with the Radish take. I think just go all the way. Like, you're going to have to punt. Toronto at Edmonton. Toronto just started. Nylander, immediate goal. They're up 1-0, 35 seconds in. I can't complain, but man, that Nylander goal would have come in handy on Saturday to finish off a couple other bets. But again, won't complain about my boy Willie continuing to shoot the puck at the goalie. Keep doing that, buddy. We love to see it from you. They take on the Edmonton Oilers. It's a good matchup on both sides. In theory, like, both teams are so dependent on such a small amount of players, and can be very leaky defensively and other, just on both sides. Toronto, I believe it's no Morgan Riley for a little bit, right? I mean, it's not like it was even a chance he could play in the next game. I mean, he's definitely out tonight.
I don't think he's with the team.
Yep, ruled out through Olympic break, right? Okay, so no Morgan Riley. It makes the defense, McCabe, Carlo, Stetcher, OEL, and I guess Benoit and Philip Myers are at least players in the NHL. Is there anything on this team other than the fact that Austin Matthews is probably going to be very, very low owned that you're interested in? Are you gonna join me on the Nylander bandwagon?
No, he needs to like do things like shoot and
Oh, I guess eight,
score
eight shot
more.
attempts in the first game back and 5 on goal were. Oh, that must have been nothing. Okay.
The very last time you did this, it led you to bet on Trevor Moore. So I believe it or not, I do not think you're the
I
patron
did do
saint
that.
of first game back shenanigans.
I
The guy who
might have done
stood
that.
out to me, the guy who stood out to me was Matthew Nyes, because especially if he stays on this third line, the whole problem with Edmonton is that they have McDavid and Draisaitl, and the wheels have fallen off after that in the bottom six. And Matthew Nyes is back on the top power play. And if you remember, this 8.04, his expected fantasy points per game last 10, was in the fives last time we did a podcast. So it made me go, let me take a look. And the last 5 games, Matthew Nyes has 11.4 expected DK points per game, 7.8 actual, 5 shot attempts per game. Like, that is a literal godsend for this guy, the way he was playing. So it's possible that he kicked that injury that he had picked up a month ago or so and is on the other side of it. So if he keeps this up in this line, in this sort of combination, I could see Matthew Nyes functioning much like a Jack Quinn on the other side of a game stack for either, for Edmonton in this case, for Nyes. But I think that's a really interesting play, given I like Nick Watt, I like Nick Robertson, and I hate the Edmonton third line.
Yeah, I think that's very, very fair. Decent one-off piece. Like we said before, like at some point this price is going to look really enticing, but not with the way he was playing. And he listened to us say that and said, "Oh, you want me to play good? Oh, okay, yeah, I can go do that." And then started doing it. That's what you want to play him. He could be just a one-off piece on the other end of this, right? Like he's scoring goals against the third and fourth line. Well, get McDavid back out there, get Draisaitl back out there, get Hyman back out there. I mean, Hyman's been fantastic. So we good over the other side. Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman, all power play one correlated. It's got to be about the same price, if not a little bit cheaper than Tampa 1. Of course, Evan Bouchard is more expensive than Radish, but you put that 4-man stack together and I think you're looking at about the same thing. Is it actually cheaper, the 4-man?
It's 1,000 less for a McDavid line than it is a Brandon Hagel, Jake Gensel line. That is the power of Nikita Kucherov.
I could be convinced either way. You can build a couple different teams with each of them, feel it out. Let me know what you think. But I kind of think I think the Tampa side of the house will get a little bit more steamy, in my opinion, because McDavid really hasn't. Well, he's been actually kind of back on his bullshit again. He had that 52.8. So what am I going to say in his last 5? So yeah, before then he kind of was looking a little bit stinky again, but not and stinky for him. I mean, he didn't get a point in like 2 games in a row, and it's like the sky was falling. But
he's back. Yeah, he stopped scoring 8 goals a game, and we hate him for that, and so I'll never forgive him.
I'd like him to start doing that again based on the bets I have.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I'll call him and tell him.
I'm not interested in Podkolzin and Kapanen. I know that's usually the case, but with Toronto coming in, it could just be like, oh my god, like Toronto's terrible and everything else, and it's like, yeah, that's maybe true, but I don't really buy it. In fact, if you trust the rainbow sheet, the Toronto side is a slightly better matchup expected goals wise, which is interesting. Like Edmonton has just truly been terrible defensively. Like it's not just Minnesota that's been eating them up and spit them out lately. So
there's such a large part of me that just wants to play McDavid, Matthews, and then just make the rest of my lineup after that, whatever I can do. Like
DJ giving such good ideas on the show. All right, we got to. I don't
get that. It's just I'm sorry. Simply not a bad idea. Not a bad idea to just do that. Don't be stupid. Do that. That is going to be a very hard consideration for me. Yeah, I'm gonna think on this quite a bit.
All right. Like I mentioned, the third line in Edmonton is Matt Savoy, Jack Roslovic, and Josh Szymanski. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great work, everyone. Oh, okay. Maybe the third line is Matthias Janmark, Trent Frederick, Curtis Lazar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry,
name
Connor.
any of these players that are doing good things in fantasy.
I am so sorry, Connor. I think Jack Rosovich scored his first goal since November last game.
Yeah, do you remember when Jack Rosovich
8-2?
was just like the must-click play?
I do. Week? I remember.
He got up to
Alex Chason?
5,300. He was 5,300.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Alex Chason. 5,300. Huh. Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna think about that for a while. But yeah, 5,300 Jack Rosovich.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm
gonna say this.
It wasn't that bad. He did something against Minnesota that hadn't happened for him since November, and I just
remember. What was I gonna say? Oh no, what I was gonna say is I'm starting to think this Connor McDavid guy might be the reason players around him perform so well, and that maybe Zach Hyman's 50 goal season was a bit of a McDavid effect and impact, but I don't know it for sure.
Weird. Wait, you're telling me you can get literal dudes off the street that come in and produce, and you can use actual productive players to fill in the rest of your lineup so that your team doesn't get caved in every night? Someone should really tell the coach that, because what the fuck are we doing? Like, I wrote 2 years ago that Zach Hyman should not be touching the ice with McDavid or Draisaitl because he's that good of a player. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Just
nothing matters. We're all going to die anyways. And if we're all going to die anyways, let's talk about a team nobody but I believed in. You know what, actually, Matt, I'll give you some credit. You've believed in Seattle too. I think we've believed in Seattle. I think we're the only brave enough people in the entire planet that have been going to bat and saying, you know what, this Seattle team might piss me off, but gosh darn it, they're not that bad. I bet them to make the playoffs. Looking like a freaking genius right now. People are winning DFS slates with Jared McCann. He makes the cover today. I mean, think about a bigger honor for the man than making our cover. I have his jersey. Heaven's sakes, I have his jersey in my closet right now. So I ask you this. Against the Anaheim Ducks, who are getting healthy, but, you know, they're the Ducks. They give up goals. They love giving up goals. It's one of their favorite things to do is give up goals. Are you thinking about it? Are you thinking, maybe, just maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, the problem is the new Anaheim Ducks are boring. And it's possible that with, as McTavish gets healthier and Terry gets healthier, they maybe lay off the brakes. But it's been really slow sledding for Anaheim. They're not generating much. They're not allowing anything. And their games have been a slog. And so that's my concern. I like these two teams. I do worry that a lot of the field goes to here for value or mid-tier stuff when I like the other spots better, I think. Because with only 7 games, you got to pick from somewhere, and I do feel like this game will just be settled upon.
I mean, both teams are coming off wins against what I was told is a Stanley Cup contender in Vegas. So what are you trying to tell me?
Can we not talk about Vegas right now?
We don't have to. They don't play. We don't have to. Seattle, the top line is, actually, I was going to send it to you in the studio. Are you considering anything besides the top line if you're playing Seattle?
I think Tolvanen is in play. Stevenson is only passing. It's really fun. You get on the ice with Chandler Stevenson, this dude will not shoot. So Tolvanen, step on down.
Passes.
If I'm wrong and Seattle 1 is going to go off at 7%, great, play them. I really like them. I just feel like they're going to be the slate. Well, the last game opens up and you go, 22% of the field play Jared McCann in this economy, and it's going to prevent you from playing, Matthews and McDavid or whatever. You're not going to do the super high end stuff to play Seattle, and it's going to funnel you into a similar build as everyone else. And even if Seattle hits, Tampa hits, or Edmonton hits, you're still playing 2v2 roulette. So I'd rather try to go, elsewhere with my forward exposure. I think Brandon Montour is interesting. He's down at 4,900. We'll get to a guy on the other side who I'm slightly more interested in, even. But that's the spot where I do think that like not many people will play. Montour Tolvanen, for example, turn it on its head, 9K for two guys who I like, who have been reasonably productive lately, and are direct leverage on what I think will be a pretty high on spot in McCann, Beniers, Eberle. That feels pretty good to me. But anything else you want to mention? Jaden Schwartz, maybe?
I'm just looking at Chandler Stevenson's contract again. They pay this man until he's almost 37 years old.
I wish I got paid until I was 37 years old.
I 6.25 mil a year. I guess I'd take it. My apologies. No, I mean it's tough not to look at the Seattle top line and get excited. The second line, it's like, oh yeah, Stevenson isn't shooting like Tolvanen, and then the third guy's Winterton, a guy that we all had heard of before the year started and thought might do something. The third line is the one that is interesting, and like you mentioned, Schwartz, Wright, and Kako all power play 2 correlated with Brandon Montour. I really like the idea of it, but the actual execution of that is pretty tough. You're betting on that line playing, and they just won't. I do think Shane Wright has the explosive upside to warrant consideration, but it seems like they're more interested in trading the man than playing the man. So yeah, I probably just sit that one out. I think there's just better options for a similar price. I could one off Montour. I definitely think that's in play. There's no, there's of all the defensemen on this slate, that he should be like the 14th most expensive guy.
Yeah,
with the way he's playing. So,
who says no? Shane Wright for Matvei Michkov.
Sign me up. I can't believe I'm saying Seattle rescue Michkov, but here I am.
Can't wait. Anaheim, they practiced today, so these lines seem like they're legit.
Yep.
Jeffrey Veal, Mason McTavish, Cutter Gauthier. All right, my goats. Killorn, Granlund, Seneca, Kreider, Paling, Terry, Ross Johnston, Tim Washy, and Jansen Harkins. No Drew Hellison, so great news for Anaheim fans. Lacombe, Trouba, Zellweger, Gudas, Minchikov, Moore. I'm going to say it. Jacob Trouba, 5,400. Get the hell in my lineup. This dude is doing everything right now. Every shot, every block shot, he is diving in front of pucks. 5,400 feels way too cheap for him in a donkey fest of a game.
It's a donkey fest of a game. Another defenseman that we have to consider. Yeah, whatever. Jacob Trouba, why not? I mean, yeah, box bonus is probably going to hit it and get a point. Sure, Jacob Trouba's fine. Whatever.
Yay.
I don't care much about Jacob Trouba.
Michael Granlund is 5,700. Seneca's 6,100. Cutter 6,900. Feels rough. Chris Kreider was, it was a 3-game slate, but the projections really liked Chris Kreider on Sunday. He only went up 300. He's at home against Seattle, 4,100 top power play. I feel like Chris Kreider will also be owned here, and I suspect that drags up some Seneca, some Cutter, some Jackson Lacombe with it. That doesn't make me feel good inside. So,
yeah. I mean, Kreider, Paling, and Terry were the line against Vegas, but that feels like it changes on a dime every night.
If you want my fancy Tolvanen Montour play Mason and Trouba. McTavish, I think, is legitimately good, and he's 5K. Yeah. Trouba 5,400. Get some leverage off of the power play 1 guys. Once again, I feel like this game is slightly underwhelming, so I'll get some leverage if I can, rather than dive into potential ownership spots.
Yeah, I'll say one note that I actually think is somewhat interesting. That at home last game, Zellweger and Gudas were like pretty paired directly with the McTavish Cutter line. The more Minchikov saw the most run with the Terry line and Kreider, and then Lacombe and Trouba were with the Seneca, Granlund, Killorn line in the 4th line as they kind of get a bit more run, as we mentioned. So I think if you're gonna take one of these defensemen and pair them in some way, that's how you do it. to try to just get a little bit extra correlation in the mix. They should be somewhat popular at home against Seattle. So yeah, I like it. Good slate, good fun action, good fun times. Everyone's having fun, especially me. Why don't we get to our top stacks, guarantee goals, and go to bed? Last time out, I think we were 2 for 4. I believe Chinikov and Bennett scored, and not Bouchard and Velarde, something like that.
Let's see. That was the game where Velarde played the Lightning.
Yes. Was he?
Yeah.
Did he score?
So Velarde did not. Chinikov
No, he did not.
Did. Who were the other two?
Bouchard.
Bouchard. He did score.
So I had, or you had Bouchard, Chinikov, and I had Velarde. Actually, hold on, pull this back up. Is that right? I had Bennett, Velarde, and you had Chinikov and Bouchard. Did Bennett score?
Bennett did not score. God, you're so fucking bad at this.
I am dumb and you are good. Level. Congratulations. Now
you'll never guess how much money you paid me, by the way.
Is it too much, actually? You are now the richest man in America. Top stacks, guarantee goals. I'll let you go first.
All right. Top stack, give me Pittsburgh 1. Raquel,
wow.
Sid, Russ.
Wow.
We're back.
I did not expect that. Okay. No, I think that's the kind of bold shit that I like to hear. I'm going to go with Barkey, Tippett, York. So we'll just call it Philly 2.
Okay.
Although it might be 3. I don't know. What did you call that, 2 or 3? You pick.
I will call that Philly 3.
All right, great. Philly 3.
All right. Samson has joined. He will be making the second selection. Let's go to the game with the big cat. But we're going to be picking on the big cat. Let's go Jack Quinn, Tage Thompson, and Rasmus Dahlin. Sure, whatever. Let's have fun. But Tampa also in that game stack makes a ton of sense as just this game goes crazy.
I'm just going to call that Buffalo power play 1.
Yep.
And then for my second stack, it's not going to be a stack. It's just going to be McDavid Matthews. So whatever.
Good. That's a game stack, everybody. Why don't we have Matt Nice?
And like, yeah, I was gonna say throw him. I guess let's throw in Nice. Honestly, I think that's bet on the power play. Bet on. I like it. Well, and you know what? You can debate McMahon if you want, but yeah, I think that's like how I probably end up building on this slate. You got all the insight. But what else do they need? They need the guaranteed goals. They can't go to bed at night without them. Some people, you try to put them to bed, they just come running back downstairs. Where are my guaranteed goals? I can't go to bed without them. It's like a blanket, you know what I mean? Or a binky or something. I don't know. You get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you're coming off the heater.
Yeah, well, if you want a binky, go up to the coach on the other bench, pull out his binky, and watch him start to cry. Rick Tockett's being a giant fucking baby about Matvei Michkov. Justin Sordiff is going to shove it down his throat here. This guy is playing some inspired hockey at the moment. 10.7 expected fantasy points per game for just 4,300. 10.4 actual. Give me a break. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but that line is cooking. Justin Sordiff is my first guaranteed goal.
Mr. Binky himself. What a call. I am going to go with what does that leave you with? Like 60 something, right?
Yeah, 67.
All right. I'm going to go with Timo Meier. Finally, New Jersey figures it out a little bit. Glass is the key to unlocking Timo Meier. 5 shots and a goal. Timo 5,400. Mid-tier DJ, they're calling him.
Mid DJ. It is what everyone calls DJ.
No. I didn't say. No, wait. Let me try again.
It's tough. I'm going to go 6,200. Andrei Svechnikov playing Ottawa. You got to pick a guy in that top line if you're playing God's Despair. My money's on the guy who's just been doing it, getting it done. Don't know why he's not shooting, but it doesn't matter if they're going in the net. So Svechnikov and sort of guaranteed goals.
Nothing but respect. Nothing but respect for those guaranteed goal scorers. I have to pick one more, and I am going to go with you know what? Actually, I'm just going to go with Matthew Nyes. Even though he's kind of in my stack, he's kind of isn't. Matthew Nyes is playing really well.
I kind of forced him in your stack, so you can do that.
Yeah. Timo, Nyes, Sordif, Sveshnikov. I like it. I like it here. I like the lighting. Anything else you got to say for yourself before we get out of here at like a almost reasonable amount of time, but not really for the size of the slate?
No, nothing here. Covered the Olympics plan. We'll mention that again next show, but that should be, I think that'll be an early Wednesday show. Come to think of it, I don't think I can regroup in time for the Wednesday slate and do that tomorrow. So let's just plan on the Wednesday slate, unless that's a problem with you.
I mean, I play hockey, so we'll just have to do it earlier, but
yeah,
it'll be fine. Fine by me.
Right. So then we'll talk about that again then. And if you want to talk news, injuries, whatever, get in the Discord. DM me at Fake Moods or DJ at _Mitchell 94. I am hashtag Moods13 on Discord as well. If you add me as a friend, and we can get you in there that way. It's the best place to get a hold of me. But you can always tweet too. I'm on Twitter. I don't tweet much though, so and I certainly don't check my DMs much either. My requests were a graveyard of guys I left unread for like a month, like, trying to get in the Discord.
I know.
I felt pretty bad.
I felt. I mean, they've changed that whole thing. I clicked on it, and because I had a few people that were like, well, one person said like, hey, I DM'd you about something in the Discord, and I was like, oh, and it was like, hey, babe, I'd love to talk to you, and then the next person's like, would love to be in the Discord, and I'm like, how do I get rid of the obvious porn bots? Like, I just don't like, why is it so fucking difficult? Like, I just can't. I don't know. I just want to get the stuff that matters and not the stuff that doesn't matter. You see,
stuff that matters, like Hardy's, like Clay Stevenson. We've got it all in the chat. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us. Thank you to Sam Renzel for making my night not suck. And I think that'll do it. So
yeah, your lineup's pretty good, right? I mean, you gotta be pretty good tonight.
Yeah, Knight's getting killed, but he's still in line for the win. So fingers crossed.
I mean, Nashville just scored like 7 goals.
Yeah, they scored a lot of goals. So we'll see if that can keep me afloat.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fine. All right. From Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a good Tuesday, everybody, and we will see ya.
You're saying they're looking like an idiot.
Well, is that any different than normal?
This is the first time I will admit was unbelievably wrong.